Good morning, everybody, or good afternoon and good evening if you're watching this on the after time. Just having a little bit of a morning coffee chat with anybody that is available to show up. Been a few days where I have not been putting out nearly as much content as I like to be. Been pretty busy, and we can chat about that today if we want to. But I just figured we'd have some coffee here together. Hey, Scott, how you doing? Oops. Have a little coffee chat while I've got a little bit of downtime and everything is calm for the moment. Oh, we got Corsair and West Wind. Steve, Wayne, how you guys doing today? Yep, cold brew coffee. A little easier on the stomach. I've been needing something that's a little easier on the stomach lately. How you doing today, Wayne? Yep, Scott, Hidden Valley Homestead was first. Good, Wayne. It's a coffee chat, so I'm glad you're making coffee. Good, Steve. You got some coffee there with you, probably? That's crazy, Scott. I'm dumbfounded by how many people you've gotten together that are just YouTube channels. Hey, Lady T Survival, how you doing today? Haven't seen you in a little bit. Ten channels that can't make it. Yep. I agree with you, Scott. It's daunting to consider how large this thing's going to get if you choose to open it up to a full campground. Anybody can show up who can get a spot kind of thing. I wonder if the restaurant really understands what they're getting themselves into. I've always worked in the restaurant industry. I haven't worked in big ones but I mean, most places where I've worked, 50 people would be a very large group to fill. So, well, that's just 70 people. That's going to be awesome. Thank you, Lady T. I appreciate the support there. Yeah, no, I know, Scott. It's going to be crazy whenever you do open it up to anybody who wants to show up. I think that around here, once people hear about it, it's going to be hundreds. I don't think any amount of thumbs up are going to put my channel into the recommended, but I appreciate it. I definitely have noticed a flatlining to the upward trend of my my subscription rate for a channel that puts out as much as mine. I find that surprising, but that's all right. I think I like the 600 mark pretty well. 800 people. That's crazy. Yep, I appreciate it, Lady T. I know that you do mod for quite a few channels out there. I see you around. Hey, Uncle Al, how are you doing today? It's been a couple days since I've seen you. My last live stream, I guess. How are you doing today, Uncle Al? Yeah, Wayne, I've said plenty of keywords, and I've had plenty of uploads that process for much longer than they should have for like a 1-minute video or 2-minute video. So I understand how the algorithm works. You always have to appreciate how hard it is to grow on YouTube also, but it does reach a point when you can't ignore some things, but that's all right. I'm actually thinking of maybe starting another channel completely disconnected from this one that is completely vanilla, just gathering subscribers and then just dump them here every once in a while. Yeah, exactly, Wayne. I actually haven't had nearly as much trouble as some of those horror stories. I haven't lost 200 subscribers at once. I haven't found it completely impossible to upload a video or had it just disappear multiple times. So I consider myself pretty lucky. I'm not going to complain because it can always get worse. Usually does. But yeah, no, I think it's just rolling with the punches. I have kept all of my original files and all of my, all my files along the way. So any of my videos I can re-upload somewhere else and read 1984. Yeah, Uncle O. Yep, I've always believed in taking advice from those old books like that. Yeah, Lady T, I've never lost that many, but some people have lost like half of their subscriber count when they're at like 600 or 700 or something like that. Yeah, Scott, it's pretty awesome. But yeah, I'm thrilled, like I've always said, with where my channel is. Let me know if the audio ever gets bad. It's a little windy and there's somebody over here mowing their lawn, so I can go inside if I need to. Yeah, Wayne, I thought you had said something about that. You kept hitting 500 and getting them taken away, which, I think sometimes YouTube does try to watch for bots. And one of the things that they do is they will unsubscribe you from channels or unnotify you to see if you're watching or noticing. And if you go back onto it, supposedly that gets them to realize you're a real person and not just a bot auto-clicking on things. But then the algorithm gets glitchy and starts redoing it to people who it's already done it to, stuff like that. So there are just a lot of regular, almost system maintenance things that they need to do, which then sort of get out of control and mess with people, and which aren't necessarily part of a conspiracy theory. But at the same time, I do give a little bit of credit to the fact that they are, all it takes is somebody typing a few words into a flagging input query search, and all of a sudden certain words like prepping gain 10 points of red flag weight. So, all right. Thank you, Lady T. Appreciate that. That's crazy, Wayne. Yeah, Hidden Valley. I like doing live streams. I like to do a lot of videos, but lately it's just been so hectic. I haven't been able to do nearly as much as I'd like to. And it's a little easier just to get on here and chat with you guys a little bit. Dang, Uncle Al, that sucks. Stop doing martial arts. Just take it easy. But anyway, I've got enough videos out there that are of general interest that one day one of them will get popular for a random reason. I'm confident. And if it doesn't, then it doesn't. But I am going to try to get my videos out onto different platforms so that if any of them do become the next big thing, I'll already be there. I wonder why that is, Wayne, why you have so much trouble with that. I've never seen you talk about, I guess sometimes you get into political stuff, but there's always somebody who's talking about something crazier or more controversial than anybody here, I think. Yeah, Lady T, that would be scary. That's the one main reason, because I've watched YouTube for a long time before I started this. Not just preppers, but YouTubers, like talking about being a YouTuber. And that's one of the things that they have said is to at least keep your upload originals, if not your raw original footage. That way you're always able to re-upload your video if it gets wiped off the database for some reason. And if you keep your raw footage, you're able to cut out bits when YouTube suddenly decides that this word isn't okay, or showing that thing isn't okay, or you find out that there was a logo in the background that you're getting sued over. You don't have to download the file from an archive and then edit it. So I keep my raw footage, I keep my upload originals, and it's all on a terabyte drive, 2 terabyte drive. Because you live stream with watch channels on occasion. Yeah, Wayne, that's one thing that I tend to leave live streams pretty quick once things reach certain, people start talking about crazy stuff or things like that. Hey, Palmetto, how you doing? I did one for your East Coaster guys. Yeah, Corsair. The one thing, so the thing with Patreon is that you probably notice Patreon doesn't actually host videos. They link to videos. They host the text posts and video posts, but for image. So pictures, you can do like pictures and captions and stuff, and you can also write a story or whatever. But Patreon doesn't actually host a video like YouTube hosts a video. You actually are linking to YouTube or BitChute or whatever, and then Patreon links to that video, which you've hidden on YouTube. Yep, no problem there, buddy. So the benefit of the Patreon thing is that YouTube doesn't judge, supposedly, they don't judge a hidden or an unlisted video the same as they judge a public video, because other people can't see it unless they've chosen to see it or been shown it. So it greatly reduces the pool. It keeps it from children seeing it, keeps it from people seeing it who, don't want to see it and are, think YouTube's stupid because of it. So, yeah, exactly, Lady T. So Patreon doesn't actually host a video. You couldn't put something there, and so it's always going to be on YouTube. Now, YouTube still scans videos that are unlisted. When they upload it, everything is analyzed using the algorithm. It turns all of the speech into text and analyzes it for red flag words, and it assigns the video a certain, you could call it a number, a rating, but it's a weight. It's a bunch of different statistics that go into it, and it gets put on the shelf above and below things that are crazier and less crazy and judged accordingly. So they care a little bit less about an unlisted video, which is why you can make videos about guns, post them on YouTube unlisted, and then share the link on Patreon, and YouTube won't come after you, but they're still there. And they still know that you have them, and it's still held a bit against you a little bit. Uncle Al is not a number. We're all numbers, Uncle Al. You just might not abide by that. Hey, D-Mac, how you doing? Just drinking some jar coffee. Oh, geez. I hope you're like in an ice bath or something, buddy. Drinking tea to break that fever. Yeah, I say get off to the doctor, put an ice pack on the back of your neck. Yeah, I'd say get an ice pack or a bag of peas and just set it right on the back of your neck. There's a bunch of vessels there, and that's going to draw off a whole bunch of that heat. I'm sorry about that. That does not sound fun at all. Right on, man. That's cool. Yeah, hopefully that's going to help a little bit. But yeah, you don't want to sit there with that hot too long. Oh, geez, man. Yeah, I mean, get that taken care of. Hopefully you're on some strong antibiotics. Praying for you, buddy. Yeah, what Palmetto said. Definitely don't let that get any hotter. Definitely keep fresh ice or something cold on the back of your neck, and go get some antibiotics. Get somebody to roll you into an ice bath. Yeah, I'd say get going to the doctor pretty quick there. I mean, I'm sure you're fine. You're sitting here chatting with us. You're not delirious or anything yet, but you don't want to mess around with overheating your CPU there, buddy. But yeah, feel better, man. Oh, yes. Take the Marines' advice. All your problems are because you're not drinking enough water and your socks are dirty. I can turn coffee into wine, guys. Everybody hates doctor's offices, DMAC. They wouldn't be the same if they were run like a hardware store. They just had to serve you. You blaspheme. White socks. Is it the White Sox that do that? Did I? What would a prepper do in this case? Oh, with the fever? Actually, I think I addressed that a little bit in my response to Hoople's Cat's pandemic episode where I was dying of a fever. Discharge propane. Canister of propane, hold it to the back of your neck and use a nail or something to slowly seep it out until it starts icing over. It's going to be one of your few ways to quickly produce a lot of really quick cold, in an emergency situation. There's other things that you could do. You could actually try to save the propane as you leaked it out. But in my video, after I was supposed to have died, I came back, I was laying in bed with Spanish flu-like fever and came back and said that I saved my life by holding all of my cans of propane on the back of my neck and letting the gas out. Yeah, don't smoke when you're doing that. But you know what? Who knows? I mean, those things get really cold if you sit there and let all the gas out or run them really hard on a blowtorch or something for, 10 minutes. The canister gets pretty cold. So, And going swimming. I mean, if you find yourself nice, like around here, you almost can't go swimming in a lot of the rivers year round, no matter how hot it is outside. It's only melting more ice. You're only a few miles from the melting point, from where the ice is melting around here. So almost year round, the water is almost too cold compared to how hot you are to really be pleasant. I mean, it is nice, but you have to be ready for the shock. So around here, the water is definitely cold enough to help break a fever, no matter what time of year it is. But I'm of the understanding that down there in the south, sometimes the water is pretty much, sun temperature. That's how I quit smoking, DMAC. I got one of those smoker's coughs. I didn't have a chest infection that bad, but I was coughing up, dark phlegm and everything. And it was just so bad that I couldn't smoke even if I wanted to, just the pain all through here. And I never got a strong enough urge to have another cigarette that I chose to do it. So I got lucky that I pretty much just got burnt out of it and never wanted it again. I very rarely have, a craving for a cigarette. Yep, what Wayne said. Uh, I also, one thing, I don't know if you saw the video where I was talking about how, sort of some things that helped me quit, but I actually did start doing exercise. I'm sure you're just fine for exercise, especially while you're sick, but delaying going outside for a cigarette by doing exercise and then resting afterwards actually does really help to keep you from wanting the cigarette, because you don't really want one right after you've worked out. I mean, maybe you do. Some people do. Some people want cigarettes while they work out. But, you know, if I like work out real hard, go take a quick rinse, go get something to eat, by the time I'm doing all that and I've got something else to do, I quickly realized that I would actually skip a whole entire cigarette session just by having done all those things. I also live around my family, and they're very sensitive to the smell of it. So for me, I would always hold my cigarette so it wasn't getting on me, and then go and mouthwash very well so that I wasn't bothering anybody with the powerful smell. So it just became more hassle than it was worth. You have to watch out for gators down south. We don't have gators up here, just the Loch Ness monster, his cousin. And Bigfoot. There's plenty of Bigfoot around here. You just sort of get used to them. They walk by. If you don't look right at them, they just pass along. 27 pounds. Dang. Jeez. That's a lot, Wayne. Yeah, DMAC. I'm not. Yeah, it's just a nice, doing a few push-ups. I always found, even just 5 or 10 push-ups or something. When I knew that I would actually at that moment instead be going out to have a cigarette, just you're sort of reinforcing something else into that mental position, that location. Yeah, being sick is a good way to lose weight. Just too much of a good thing. Drink that Gatorade, D-Mac. The big feets. Is that the proper plural? Seems like a double plural. The big feets. I don't know. I actually was trying to figure out how you would properly make a plural of, a race of Bigfoot, the big feet, the big-footed ones. Oh, right on, DMAC. Yeah, I mean, I found it helped. Because you have something there that you want. It's a hormonal trigger and stuff like that. So having something productive to produce that dopamine and the serotonin and stuff, because that's what a lot of it is. At some instinctive level, you're using it because it slows the decay of those hormones in your brain, or the reuptake of them. So by just doing something, a rewarding exercise like finishing a puzzle or something like, Sudoku puzzles or something like that, you're replacing it with something besides just sitting there staring at a wall or whatever. Yeah, DMAC, I often sit close to waterlogged rather than dehydrated. Hey, Kentucky, you made it this time. How you doing? Your connection is running slow. Starting today, they told you. Oh, okay. You ran out of high-speed data on your phone. Okay. Gotcha. Well, you can just hang out in the chat if you want. No worries about that. Lady T heading out. Have a good one. Thanks for dropping in. Appreciate you being here. Doing some housework today, Kentucky. Yep, I'm going to be doing some housework. Going to be working on some cars. Got 2 different family vehicles that need a brake replaced on them. Man, my car needs cleaned out. So I'm going to be running around picking up brakes and taking apart cars today, and then work later. And back to wine. Yeah, I've got a Subaru that needs a back brake put on it, and a Ford Escape that needs like a little Ford SUV that needs a oil change and 2 back brakes put on it. I probably shouldn't even be here right now, but I wanted to chat with you guys, and I think I got plenty of time. I work late today. Oh, lots of brake work, cleaned out the garage today, putting new handlebars on the motorcycle later. I can ride a bike with no handlebars. Yeah, it should be pretty easy. Sandbags. Oh, okay, for your workout tower. That's good. Yeah, that's not good if it rocks around. Got like a Bowflex or something like that. Yeah, just swapping out the pads. Pretty easy, actually. Some parts of the Subaru are not very easy because they're well engineered, which means they have all the machinery to like hold it up in front of them and screw everything in as tightly and closely together as possible, so you have no reasonable way to do it without either having very small hands or being able to just hoist it up and take all the panels off and work on it in a shop. It's a good song, Palmetto. I like it. It comes across my playlist feed pretty often. Yeah, Palmetto, I don't do anything that serious. My mechanical ability with vehicles is I carry the YouTube video out with me on my phone as I do it. And I own the Chilton manuals for our vehicles. So I can technically do most things that a vehicle needs done, especially if it was made before 1989. I can drop a fuel tank and just different things like that, but I'm not yet prepared to do small things that move around. I can do that with guns, but I don't know. It's a little different for me so far. I do plan on, becoming more mechanically proficient with vehicles. Angled ratcheting box end wrenches. Yes. Good thing those are so common and cheap. Oh yeah, Wayne, I can see that. Yeah, I can see. I can bet Palmetto. Why don't you come on up here and give me a hand? Yes, Scott. I was born in '89, so that's why anything before my year of birth, I have dominance over. It's all downloaded at birth, like the Matrix. But no, I mean, just think about it. Cars '89 and before, often, I mean, that was around whenever they got rid of the carburetors and stuff like that, and a lot of the cars that you like, Jeeps and trucks and stuff like that. A lot of them just had a lot simpler pumps and different lines, vacuums, stuff like that, which I don't like vacuums, but I like them better than weird computer crap that never makes sense. So, yeah, 30 minutes for both. Yeah, 30 minutes for both, and how many hours of drive time to get you up here? Be worth it, but yeah, brakes are usually pretty easy, Kentucky. I try to do as little bending over as possible. I jack it up and just sort of lay down and get in there. Yeah, Wayne, that definitely. Engineers get years and years to try to pack everything into a small space, and very rarely do they have to take it apart in the mechanic shop 10 times. They have equipment that they specifically have designed to make it easier on themselves to do what they're doing. Then they don't share that with everybody else. Only take 2 days of driving. That's not bad. Sometimes I think it'd be fun to do like a cross country train thing and meet up with a bunch of people. That would be weeks. Be fun though. I prefer train to a lot of other modes of transportation. I don't mind driving, but I also like the train because you just get to sit back and hang out. Could just live stream with you guys all day long. The easiest to wrench on. I just find that so hard to believe, DMAC, that any Jeep could be so easy to work on. What years, what model? Okay, no, that can't be the easiest car to work on. I'm sorry. I've owned Jeeps. They are not the easiest cars to work on, man. I had like a F-150 that was real easy to work on. my Grand Wagoneer was pretty easy to work on. You could sort of slap parts on that thing and it just sort of took the abuse. But yeah, Steve, I like traveling by train like Amtrak. I don't mind flying. Flying by private jet is very nice. I've flown by a private jet once, and it took what would have been like an 8-hour plane flight down to an hour and a half from the moment we parked on the parking lot in one spot to the point where we were getting into a car on the other end. But I don't get to fly private jets more than once. So let's see. I rode Greyhound, and I had a crazy old dude, like a homeless old crazy guy who was drinking straight vodka out of a coffee mug, tried to convince me that he was playing cat and mouse mind games with me and that he was going to kill me when we got to the next place. And he was talking to himself crazy like he had killed somebody at the last place, but I believe that he was truly just lunatic. He ended up chasing me through the Greyhound terminal, screaming that he was going to kill me. And I had just slipped out the back, found my ride, and whisked off into the night before I had to deal with any police at my new location already. So I don't like Greyhound as much. The bus driver was just a very small Hispanic lady who hardly spoke English, and I was the only one on that bus who was keeping him away from the soccer girls. So I just don't have a lot of faith in that mode of transportation. I'd rather a train where you have a bunch of different cars to go into. Oh, right on, Corsair. Inline sixes, yeah, I love that inline six. I had a, well, no, okay, so my Grand Wagoneer was the V8. My Cherokee was the inline six. But yes, inline sixes are amazing engines. I had no idea how good they were until I had one. But those things put out so much low end power for how small they are. 94 grand. Yeah, I mean, I can see how they're easier compared to other things, but I just follow a few Jeep pages on Facebook, and people bemoan the Jeeps. It's all about the torque. Yep. But yeah, I don't really like flying. Obviously, you just never know what you're going to run into. Hey. But yeah, I mean, I could truly enjoy taking a train ride around the country and dropping in to see all you fine folks. I could fill plenty of that train ride with stuff for YouTube, but well, I keep looking over here because people are just walking around at different houses down the street. My sister just walked by across the yard a minute ago. Exactly, Palmetto. I mean, I've never had a real hassle, and I don't know. I'd have to really do my research before I even considered carrying a gun cross country on a train, even in a lockbox or something like that. And it's sad that things are like that, but I don't want to have serious troubles whenever I travel. And for one thing, train seems to be one of the more, I mean, aside from driving around, which I do like a good road trip, but I've done plenty of road tripping in my life so far, and I really don't mind driving. I can even, Odie, I can find it road tripping very enjoyable, but if I was road tripping cross country, I would not be putting out YouTube videos except for at locations and stuff. Whereas on the train, I could be doing all kinds of stuff all day long. You never know. Oh, Kentucky heading out. All right, have a good one, man. Thanks for dropping in. Glad you could. Take it easy out there. A sap. Yeah, no, I mean, I wouldn't really be worried about traveling without a gun. You know, there's plenty I can do. I'm not necessarily worried about SHTF popping off. And besides, if I'm visiting preppers, at least at my locations, I'll feel pretty safe. And I would have a, you know, you'd have a travel bag with you, you know, an enhanced EDC. Paying to the molesting. To be molested. Yeah. No. See, I haven't actually ever flown through an airport that had enhanced security. Just, you know, scanners and stuff like that, but I've never actually been DNA scanned, enhanced pat down, anything like that. But I've always flown through small airports since 9/11. So, but that if I was to try to fly to the East Coast, visit people over there, or try to get up, like I would try to at least get to. I guess I don't know. I doubt that anybody Hooples or Ontario would drop down into New York, and I don't think I would ever go near New York. But I would go over and visit those guys if I had the money, and yeah, I don't want to get probed, Uncle Al. And that's the thing. If you go fly those places, you're just opening yourself up to that kind of stuff. That was unfortunate. You know, I just don't want to find myself getting beat up by hostesses on an airliner and getting pulled off. Never taken a. Where have you taken a train then, DMAC? You taken one overseas? I found Amtrak to be really enjoyable. I took it between Oregon and Idaho, and it was a good time. You know, I just met a couple of different offbeat people, and you just sort of hang out. You know, like you do on a train. There's just a bunch of different cars. There's a snack car. You sleep. It's just a pretty relaxed environment. There's a few different stops and stuff like that, but you get to just sort of have the time pass without necessarily needing to be paying attention. So you could just watch a bunch of YouTube, work on things. I like it. Yeah, Corsair. The trick to being patted down by security is to always enjoy it more than they do. Oh, the missionary thing. Yes. You were on the underground. Oh, Wayne goes full Deadpool on them. You sort of do like a dog, stand on one foot. I do a ballerina, you know, bring the knee up. Keith in the house. How you doing today? Shiloh Sky. Took trains in the UK and France to Germany. Kind of more built for it. Yeah, see, Europe and the whole continent are made for train travel. Unfortunately, America was designed for cars and eventually jetpacks. DMAC gets his gun in anyways. Yeah, I sometimes wonder. I don't know. I think they'd find that. Where do you carry that you can get it into venues when they pat you down? Small of your back, probably. See, I would get just a small Derringer type and just strap it right up inside the leg. Yep, down in the crotch. See, I want a pair of Thunderwear. A couple of you guys have probably heard me mention Thunderwear. Oh, yeah. Thunderwear. Give me just a second here, boys. Oh, it doesn't like the Amazon link. Oh, it's a huge link. That's why. Yes. For those of you who do not know, Thunderwear is, of course, underwear for concealed carry. It's got that extra pouch that you need. Hidden Valley, or High Desert, how you doing? Right on the junk, belly band, under the boxers. That is commitment. I applaud you. I've done that before. Done that for a couple different things before, actually. Wear an adult diaper, they stop searching. I've actually thought about that. What if you got a catheter and just filled it with lemonade and sealed it, or just like, you know, yellow saline or something like that? And so you could just have a catheter bag. For a young man like me, I think that would just get them to leave me alone. Low appendix. Yeah. See, I've done the double pair of boxers. So you wear boxers, wear another pair of boxers over that, and carry on that boxer. And it actually tends to keep, or put it under the other pair. That way, if it sags, it gets caught up on the rest of the stuff. A sticky holster under his gut flap. Can you imagine seeing that guy produce a gun out of his gut flap? Shirt up, roll up the flap. He's got to make sure that he doesn't start shooting too soon and catch his muffin top. Steve, don't tell us how you keister your gun. That's dangerous. Yes, Palmetto. The statistics on the TSA, well, I'm not going to talk about that. I want to keep chatting here today. Hey, Central Florida, how you doing today? Ew. Don't they give you olive oil in prison? Back to horses before jetpacks. No. Come on. How about horse jetpacks? That sounds like a winning idea. You hop on your horse, you turn on the 4 little hoof jetpacks, and it gallops into the sky. Maybe Santa Claus was from the future. Really? In Utah, it's illegal for a venue to keep you from carrying if you're allowed to carry. Aside from government facilities. That's pretty cool. I did not know that. Good on Utah. A prison purse. No. It's got to be one of those CIA pen guns, you know, straight. Castor oil. What you do is you tell your nurse that you have hemorrhoids, get yourself a little bit of that Prep H. One of the best preparations. Oh, well, thanks for dropping in, Central Florida. Drink plenty of water. Hey, Food Forest Permaculture, how you doing today? Yeah, Corsair, don't take... If you find knives on the ground at prison, don't take them home. That's a bad idea. In fact, I think that just picking up knives on the ground and taking them home, at least without dipping them in gasoline first, is a pretty bad idea. I try to resurface knives that I find. Nice, Wayne. I like it. It takes guts to stick sharp objects up there. And if you do it wrong, it really takes guts. Exactly, Palmetto. When you get to Preparation H, you know that you really are in a sticky situation. They call me Pun Star. Seen a dude with 2 tits. It makes me sad that a man reaches that place in his life, Corsair. I mean, I understand that you're going to do what you got to do. Was he smuggling them in? Are court sports that popular in prison? Oh, God, just on a bet? I thought it was like personal reasons. I've never been that drunk. What was he going to win? Central Florida, it didn't start like this. I don't know who these people are or what they're talking about in my live stream chat. I need to go change this to age restricted, probably. Bragging rights. Bragging rights are strange in prison. I'm always reassessing, the framework of what is societally normal in prison, because they're so tough. They're so, there's a bit of an honor system in there, but at the same time, they do things. The things they do. Oh, God. I guess to demonstrate. No, I'm not going there. Yeah, we should probably have drinks sometimes, some of you guys, because I'm just not going to say some things online. All right, Steve. I don't necessarily. That's fine. I understand keystering knives and stuff like that. You do what you got to do. Most of those guys are probably, well, maybe not. I mean, most of us expect we're going to need a prostate exam sometime in our life. Let's be honest about it. It's just something that we need to be prepared for as preppers. So I'm not necessarily just saying that the whole subject is the problem. It's the tennis balls. It's doing it for a bet. I mean, I can understand needing to put knives places if that's what you feel you need to do to protect yourself in prison. But there are lines that I feel I would need to draw. It is a whole nother world in there. I try to understand it. I think it's valuable to understand it, but I keep learning more. But there is, to a certain degree, Food Forest, there is not honor the way that, not actual honor the way that you would say it compared to a traditional form of honor, but there is respect that's demanded. There is, I don't know, it's just a completely different criteria. If drinking with some of the people here hide the knives. Dude, if I drink with some of these guys here, my knife is going to be in my hand the entire time. These guys are some shady people. Don't turn your back on the people in here, let me tell you. Hey. Okay, thanks. Well, I probably need to get going here soon. We got a in-home nurse coming to visit my dad. He's home now. So I should probably help clean up a little bit and be around to help with that and stuff in case they need me to help lift or anything. I don't know, Uncle Al. These people came in here and started talking about prison subjects. Yeah, Hidden Valley. It's a bummer. I might actually hop back on, or maybe I'll just pause for a second to see if they need anything and let you guys chat here for a minute. I'm not going to go quite yet. I wondered about that, Steve. I can see where FFP was coming from with saying that people in prison have no courtesy and no honor, because they don't have a lot of the boundaries or social conventions that we do, that most people who haven't been in the criminal system or in the institution system. You're just stripped of some of that the boundaries, because you recognize that the people around you are not going to they're not going to hold themselves back. So there is a bit of, there's a difference. There are less restrictions, but at the same time, they do have a hierarchy. They do have a social standard. It's just completely different and pretty surprising sometimes. Yeah, food forest. There is a culling process. There is a hardening process. So to a certain extent, yeah, courtesy and honor and stuff like that, like we would necessarily consider them, do not, you can't just expect as a regular citizen to interface in that culture without a very steep learning curve. Uncle Al heading out. All right. Thanks for dropping in, Uncle Al. We'll talk to you later. Probably be wrapping up here soon, but we'll see. I'm gonna go check on that real quick. I'm gonna mute you guys. You chat amongst yourselves for a minute. Yeah, chat amongst yourselves. That was dangerous. Food Force, thanks for dropping in. You have a good one. Oh, you can't make me uncomfortable, Corsair. You're just going to make me have to filter myself because I can't fully respond to some of the stuff you're saying. Because I like to keep up appearances. Hey, don't drop that on any parking garages or apartment buildings, all right? Oh, you can go plenty further than that, Palmetto. You got like 2 miles of intestine to go through. All right, guys, we're going to mobilize. Be right back. Y'all alive in there? Hey, Wandering Marine Veteran, how are you doing? All right. Well, it seems that I'm not needed for anything, so I should be able to continue our chat here. Don't forget about the Hooples condoms. Can't believe that doesn't focus properly on that. I hope you can appreciate that that is Bond Hooples. Yeah, no, it's almost as good as a beard, apparently. Yep, Wandering Marine. A little bit of an earthquake here. Don't you know that Idaho is right on a fault line? What do you work? What did you? Cat collars. Oh, well, at least you're getting paid well for them. What is he about to do to us? Yeah, I guess it's never nice when you see another man pull out a condom. Unless you're into that. Converting a keg into a metal furnace. Right on, Palmetto. I have not gotten back to messing with my little crucible that I got. I want to melt down some silver and cast some silver bullets just for the fun of it. And I'm going to do a little bit of a spoof video about tabletop exercise. What if the werewolves invaded? Exactly when? No, I vegans are against humans repopulating, I think. I'm assuming that he's for depopulation. Oh, geez, D-Mac. Well, glad we could keep you entertained. Yeah, waiting room literature is generally pretty crappy. Around here, we're pretty lucky because there tends to be like hunting or truck magazines or something like that. But oh, you're getting the scrap out. Nice. What do you do that at a gun range or something? I've often thought that it'd just be because around here, I mean, the gun range at some of the old, the small towns on the side of the highway around here, they've all got like a little spot that they go and shoot. So much metal in the ground there. I mean, we're talking a couple decades worth of metal since someone's probably truly tractored it up and sifted the whole thing out. I bet half of that dirt is just spent bits. Yeah, I mean, a lot of it's probably wadding and different things like that. But see you, Central Florida Prepper. You have a good one. Thanks for dropping in. Good seeing you. People to yell at. Yeah, I've been doing a little bit of yelling myself lately. I don't like yelling, but oh, geez, Wayne. Yeah, no thanks. Well, good luck with your day, Central Florida Prepper. Well, hopefully they get you something for what you need there, D-Mac. Oh, I bet you could. Yeah, I mean, some of those gun range spots, you're just, especially the backstop is just full of it. But yeah, I mean, if you go to the point where the 100-yard mark, right behind where most of the people spotting in their rifles, where that's going to land. I mean, I bet you that there's just solid chunks of lead that are just compacted together. Yeah, Palmetto. I mean, you could probably make a pretty decent living. That'd be a pretty interesting living to make, is just to call gun ranges. Like, I mean, because around here, gun range, there's plenty of indoor gun ranges where you can rent even machine guns and stuff and have fun. But there's overwhelmingly in this area, a gun range is a hill with dirt banks built up on either side of it. And there's no, I mean, there are range fees and they want you to sign up and stuff, but overwhelmingly you don't really do it. Most people don't get a range membership because you go out there and there's no one there. Literally no one on the range, no one watching the range. It's pretty unlikely that someone's going to come around and ask questions because it's so rural. So see you, Steve. You have a good one. Glad you dropped in. Or else the range is completely full of rednecks just pouring lead down range with 6 guys just pumping out AR-15 ammo. So, for decades. So I think, I mean, if you literally offered them a good chunk of the scrap money, just ran a tractor down, stripped it all up, and sifted it out with a box sifter, and just took all of that brass, all of that lead, all of the copper, you'd have a whole lot. Be an operation. You definitely need to be set up for it, but yeah, Palmetto, just tables in the berm. Those are my kind of range. I mean, ideally, my favorite kind of range is having a friend who's got a back 100 acres and just walking through their woods and, knowing the area and walking on your way back and just sort of shooting in the backstops and stuff. Yeah, Palmetto. So up here, we've got the Border Patrol practiced at the range that I also went to. And so if you went the morning after they were out there practicing, you could pick up thousands of rounds of brand new single fire brass for 223 or for 5.56. Yeah, Westland. If you've got a nice, safe, private tract of woods, and your buddy's been shooting on it all his life, so he knows all the safe spots where there's plenty of backstop. It's very hilly here, so if you're walking through a ravine, you can very clearly see that it's just sort of safe to shoot into the hillside beside you. So I've spent plenty. It's incredibly fun to just sort of walk through the woods with a gun and blow off dead branches and stuff like that. Yeah, but you get a bit more appreciation for terrain shooting, shooting past, sort of hunting style shooting past trees, stuff like that. And I've had plenty of friends who had really prime area for it. Cause like I said, around here, the hills, foothill type area is just really good for having plenty of backstop with no chance of anybody being in your line of sight. Yeah, go out to federal land. See where it's about 20 minutes here. I used to live where 5 minutes was out. You were shooting. I mean, yeah, pretty common for, the dumb and young teenagers to hit a country road and just start shooting from their car because you're in these steep canyon roads with hills on both sides of you. So you're just, they're being stupid, but very, around here, you just have these small towns that have pushed the trees out a little bit. But as soon as you leave a neighborhood road, you're down a country road in the middle of the woods, basically. Yeah, you're moving to. Mm-mm. Mm-mm. I don't like it. I don't like moving to the city. I live in a city of below 100,000 people, probably below 75,000 people, just in artillery range, if you will. Maybe 100,000 people within artillery range of my location. I think that that's a good way to judge distance for preppers and just in a general tactical mindset. Not necessarily because you or anybody else around you has artillery, but I think that there is artillery pretty well throughout America, that it's something that you do want to worry about. Not necessarily that someone's just going to roll out some artillery, but in a grid down, SHTF type situation, just imagine hearing some freaking howitzers going off and wondering where those things are being pointed. There might be rogue military groups, or maybe just some got left sitting around and some crazy old veteran found a howitzer or a long gun or a recoilless rifle or something, a mortar, and just sort of goes wild shooting it, not knowing, thinking he knows where it's going to land. But it's also just a good radius to think about, because that's, artillery range is sort of marching range. I think one determined person on a bike can probably get as far as an artillery gun can shoot in about a day. So just think of passing all of that many people. I just think it's sort of a good, gives you a good idea of a large circle, and then thinking about how many mouths are in that area. Is it, Wayne? Yeah, I really miss quick and easy outdoor shooting with no rules and stuff like that. I have to drive a little bit further to really get where, because there's just quite a few more people than I'm used to, because I used to live in a town of less than 2,000 people in a county of less than 20,000 people. Well, probably more than 20,000, but that might, it's pretty close to that. So here it is, you have to go further out into the woods to just never hear people or anything like that, and to truly feel safe shooting. Hey, Vorik, how you doing? So I do miss just being, having the confidence that the woods are empty around you. Oh, dang, DMAC. Nice. I like that. I like 40 acres. 40 acres is pretty okay, pretty much anywhere. I mean, I wouldn't want Central Park, but how are you doing today, Vorik? Did anybody order some of that Thunderwear that I shared with you? I really think you might benefit from it. Evil Rick shoots carp? I'm assuming you say crap. It'd be pretty impressive if you were fishing for carp through your window with a 22. And I think that you need to make a video about that. Carp, you fish for carp using a 22 through your living room window. Can I get a video on that? All right, see you, DMAC. Get that doctor to get you healed up. Learning Navajo. Yeah, Wayne, it is awesome whenever you get out deep in the woods and there's just, you can't hear anything aside from wind in the trees. Not even, distant chainsaws or anything like that. Thunder cow. Nice, Palmetto. Yeah, I really think you should make a video on firearm fishing for carp through a window. I've seen, I've been around for hunting deer from a house window. Go scoop it up with the tractor. Seems like one of the best ways to hunt deer, personally. But never carp. Are they in a barrel? You shooting fish in a barrel? Is that what we're getting at here? Yeah, Wayne. I really like that. See, that to me is what camping is. I don't really. I don't like. I mean, I enjoy camping no matter what it is. But a good camping trip is one where I've hiked far enough out that I'm pretty sure I'm not going to see anybody until I come back. Oh, nice. Okay, that's cool, Rick. Nice little setup there. You could dig a little trough out so they just go hang out back in the darkness. Scoop them up. Around here, natives are allowed to do pretty much whatever they want. Most places, I think that's the case. If they've got, their blooded native, they can, gill net fish and stuff. Feed the turtles. Yeah, that's true. Use them in the garden. Wait, you would use the fish in the garden or the thunderware in the garden, Palmetto? I mean, you don't necessarily want a rifle over your back, so I think the thunderware would be pretty good. A recurve and a pistol crossbow. The lazy tribes in Washington. Yeah, no, there are some of those, Wayne, mostly, but and they don't use some of the tribes do. There's a couple tribes that care about their native heritage and stuff. Yeah. See, I like my appendix carry. I rarely notice it. I do gardening. I do anything with my pistol in. Take it out for the gym, but yeah, big fish add a lot of nitrogen, make big vegetables. Yeah, it's just sort of hit and miss with the tribes around here. There's one that a good chunk of the area is named after who are pretty unsavory. Sometimes the welfare mentality takes over. Drop leg. I've considered drop leg before, but I like my appendix. I prefer to just open carry my tactical AR-15 over my shoulder. Barrel down, of course. Actually, I have lived somewhere where people occasionally do that because they're getting real gung-ho patriotic. A lot of places actually allow it because they're like, oh, that's cute. You just sort of look like a silly redneck, though. 10 millimeter. Yeah, you definitely need something if you might need to worry about a little bit of an animal risk. That's why I like the 357, because it's going to put a little bit of hurt in most anything. I wouldn't go so far to say as it would truly deter a bear, but it gives me a lot more comfort than most other pistol calibers. A lot of woodsmen will prefer 357 over a 45 for, because a 45 is just, it has a lot more slap than punch. And, yeah.
But I've also heard that just a few shots from a 9 put it down. And like Palmetto said, you got treed by a bear. Oh, boar. Damn. But I've also heard the bears have been taken him down by a 9, just a couple shots. So it really, really depends. I'll check that out later, Evil Rick. Nice, Palmetto. Yeah, ammo definitely depends. You know, a lot of people keep hollow point in, you know, and that's just no good for animals. Most animals, depending on what you're talking about. But the majority of larger mammals, you want penetration. Yeah, exactly, Palmetto. Or the skull on a bear, I understand. Or a bull. I've had a bull. You know, I've haven't stood off with a bull. I had the option of retreating to safety, but I've dealt with a raging bull that was destroying property and threatening, you know, expensive animals. A bull that was a problem animal and had already gotten loose multiple times. And I had 12 gauge slugs, but you know, when you've got those large mammals that have an inch or more of skull on the front of their head, I've heard stories about a bear just their skull just catches the bullets and they just keep raging. And whenever, you know, eventually you know, you need to destroy the shoulder joints and muscle, penetrate to the heart, you know, get a lucky artery shot on the shoulder or neck or something like that. But you really need to destroy structure rather than just try to slap them with bullets. And if you look at the 357 and the 45, they've got comparable energy, but the 357 has a smaller face. So it's just a matter of physics. Okay, Evil Rick, I'll check it out. For some reason, I'm having a hard time grabbing the link without messing with this window, but I guess I could do this. Woods gun is a 40 Smith & Wesson with 100 grain solid copper projectiles. Yeah. Right on, Westwind. Yeah, I carry a hot Full Metal Jacket 357. And then my first reload is my reload on my left is hollow point. My reload on the right is more Full Metal Jacket. Yeah, Westwind, I could see drop leg in the winter, and I may consider that. I don't know. I do, even in the winter, I do like concealed. I understand the mentality of not wanting, you know, of wanting it clear. I think High Desert in the past has talked about just how silly you would feel clearing your shirt. I'd rather have the gun on me than not have it. Having it there is plenty. I do train with pulling my shirt, pulling the gun. And it would feel silly to have that be the half of a second or the 1 second that gets you killed. But to me, having it there is enough for now. I mean, if things get serious, yeah. But at that point, I'm going to be practicing with gunslinging. if we're that worried about being fast, you might as well get yourself a quick draw holster and something you can shoot fast enough to be the quickest guy in the room. And I'm not joking about that. It's possible to be so fast that you can get the drop on somebody who already has their gun out. You want to talk about prepping skills? That's a good one. I don't know how elite that is. I think that it's a skill that could be learned. So take dedication. But, you know, if you're really going to act like tactical things are serious, you know, you might as well pull a quick pull kind of thing. Yeah, palmetto. See, I actually, depending on what I'm doing in the woods, I mean, when I pick huckleberries, I carry my shotgun everywhere with me. I'm pretty comfortable having it slung over my back. I can pick berries and bend over and do pretty well with it on my shoulder. And nice thing about a shotgun is I'm not afraid to just drop it on the ground and do a circle, drop it on the ground, do a circle, lean it up against a tree. You know, you can clean a shotgun at the end of the day real easy. But, you know, when you're in huckleberry patches, there's just, I mean, you are going to meet a bear eventually. And usually they leave people alone. You know, if you just sort of turn around and walk away and let them have the patch and just keep walking, you don't have a problem. Some of the bolder guys will just sit there and keep doing their thing. And I respect that, but I'm not going to hang around picking berries right, you know, within 50 yards of a bear. I'm sorry. So yeah, it's just you sort of, when you're hanging out where they like to eat, you carry, I'm going to have a 12 gauge. Yeah, we have some grizzlies. I don't think that I personally, in the quite a while that I've been here, heard about someone encountering a grizzly in an area that I would be at. But lots of black bear, the chance for grizzlies, and mountain lion. I've known a couple people who have been stalked by them. So yeah, exactly. 9mm, you got thick hides. I mean, bears can have up to 4 inches of densely matted, dirty fiber, you know, having a bunch of foliage up inside it. So you're talking a thick mat of stuff that sometimes catches bullets whole. You know, I mean, imagine killing an animal and then having bullets fall out of its fur. That'd be scary. And I've heard that before. And the bullets just being lodged inside the skull matter or in the muscle, and it was still running. So yeah, shoot cougars on sight. They like to get back around behind you. So I've known guys who were trying to hunt cougar, and about the time that you see their tracks take a hard right, you start hearing something in the bushes behind you, and you pretty much have to turn and start, you know, shooting. Exactly. If you see the cougar, it's already been stalking you. So yeah, I mean, if you're in that kind of territory, you have your gun in your hand, and you might, and you're sort of ready to start shooting behind you or whatever, not at a whim, because there are people who just will go walk deep into the woods, but it's not a joke, you know. Moose are scary, yeah. Oh my God, with cubs, yeah. Jeez. That would be terrifying, D-Mac. Moose are one of the scariest animals. I'm probably more scared of interacting with a moose than I am with a bear. In fact, I definitely am. I have some confidence that unless I literally have threatened that bear's babies, like in a very direct fashion, like got between them, a bear's generally going to leave you alone. They're big enough that they don't worry about stuff, and they're just sort of calm. They like to, they don't want to mess with anything usually. Moose are crazy mothers, and they're fast. They don't slow down. Nothing slows them down. Like, they'll just run through a river or through shoulder deep snow like it's not there. Yeah, and you don't know what they're going to do. I mean, you can't hide behind a tree because they can just take a step and then whack you from behind the tree. You can't climb a tree because they can probably reach 12 or 15 feet up into it if they really want to. And yeah, once they get angry, it's like a berserker rage. I mean, if you've seen videos where they're like, I mean, you're not safe inside of a car because they'll just walk up on top of it and crush you to death. Like that, moose and other things like that are scary. Yeah, probably more deadly than bear by number. I wouldn't be surprised at all. And yeah, they stand almost 10 feet tall. Crazy. So yeah, I wouldn't be confident that even with, I mean, I would expect 12 gauge slugs to eventually do the trick. But when you have a thing that moves, because they don't move in a normal pattern, you'd have a pretty hard time getting a bead on a galloping moose that's coming out at you. You'd have to have your timing down pretty good and be pretty lucky to actually hit it in a spot, because I wouldn't be surprised if they could take a couple of clean through shots and keep coming, unless you really mangled a muscle group or took out some organs. Yeah, they're just so darn big that it takes a long time for them to realize they're dead. My grandpa on my mom's side was a big game hunter, like big game. So bear, elephant, moose, everything. And he said that, you get those big animals where even if once the heart stops, sometimes there's enough pressure for them to keep going for a second. They just have so much adrenaline and nervous system power that they're just a machine, And a lot of those things, the only way to keep them from getting, and he had times where like he had an African elephant get within, I think, 20 yards of him from 200 yards away. And they were just filling it up with elephant gun rounds. So you're going for the shoulder joints, because you simply have to mechanically stop them. Yeah, DMAC 338 12 gauge. That's one of the nice things. I mean, I would even like a 458 SOCOM pistol would be a nice woods gun. If you kept it clean, you had it wrapped in a gun cloth or something like that, that'd be a pretty mean woods gun. When I worked at the gun shop, one of the guy who programmed the CNC mills, he made decent money and he lived super cheap because his girlfriend worked at the grocery store and they lived on federal land in a cabin for like dirt cheap. So he had all the toys. And he built a 458 pistol, caliber pistol AR frame because you can't fit enough powder in a 458 SOCOM and still put it through the magazine well of an AR-15. So it has to basically be pistol powder. But that burns out within 10 inches of barrel, which is pistol length. So you have this shoulder cannon that has almost as much power as a 45-70, but it's technically an AR pistol. Cross paths with mountain lion. Yeah, no, they're not necessarily aggressive. They're just extremely curious, and it's just not good to have a big cat hanging out being curious about you because misunderstandings happen. I think a lot of what does happen is people panic. The cat smells that you've become defensive or you do something defensive, and then it starts off a bad situation. I think that if you do turn and look at it and then just walk away and sort of, we're both big mammals, let's leave each other alone and interact like big mammals do whenever they run into each other, because they do. I mean, cats and bears run into each other and it's not like they kill each other every single time. Sometimes they bump into each other or they come around a corner and see each other, and they just walk away. You don't necessarily need to pull out your knife and drop into a fighting stance. I think that's probably what sometimes causes the problem. Smell and hormones have a lot to do with that kind of thing. So truly being calm and just sort of letting bygones be bygones is often sort of a successful way to interact with animals. And large caliber weapons don't ever hurt. SBRs. I know 458 is a beautiful SBR round. Honestly, I mean, if you control it right, the 458 is manageable. If you have raised iron sights and you just you do sort of a kind of thing, lean into it, it's manageable. You're gonna put rounds on target, and whatever. Yeah, exactly, Wayne. When you do cross paths with a cougar, it's close. Yeah. I've been walking and known that I had one nearby. I haven't actually seen it, but you can, if you're paying attention, you're either, I mean, maybe I was too paranoid, but I've definitely been hiking through the woods and seen sign and then recognized that the environment was somewhat different than it is when you're just walking through the woods and everything's normal, and very quickly come to realize that I was being watched or something like that. So but yeah, I mean, square your shoulders, act like they're there and you're not too worried about it, and no big deal. Don't act like prey. 300 BO pistol. Yeah, I bet. Yeah, I would like, or just an AK pistol, just a very compact AK pistol. That's what I'm thinking about. Tastes like pork. I believe it. I'm not sure that I've had cougar. I've had a few different game animals, or bear and stuff, but not sure that I've had cougar. I'm going to go perform some bodily functions. Yeah, palmetto, very cute. Tiger, huh? That's cool. There's a place in Oregon, I think, that has a few different exotic animals. I think it's somehow attached or associated with a university that does zoology. So they do autopsies on zebras and things for the veterinary students, and the meat is allowed to be sold. So there's restaurants maybe it's just a place that they order it from that's attached to a university. But there are some restaurants. There's one particular in Oregon that I was told about that will cook you like a zebra burger and stuff like that. I've had gator jerky before. Tiger and ostrich. That's interesting. Was it part of like an actual combo meal? Like, do tiger and ostrich pair well together in Africa or something like that? No joke. Might be real. I absolutely believe that, DMAC. I believe that there are more zebra in captivity in Texas than there are in the rest of the world. And more horses in Saudi Arabia, or no, more cows, more domestic cows in Saudi Arabia than there are camels. And they pay extravagantly for it. Like, we pay a lot to have beef cows on grass fields and all that. You know, I mean, if we were to convert it to something else, we'd be able to feed far many more people. The amount of money that they pay to have milk and beef cows in Saudi Arabia is absurd. Why can't you eat frog legs? Are they bad for you? It's the butter, isn't it? Butter's good for you. Exotic sampler. That sounds fun. Archduke Franz Ferdinand, the guy that got killed, which set off World War I. He is credited with perhaps being the most prolific killer in all of history, if you include animals, which I can't remember if he has a war record, but he would have. Oh, Navajo. Yes, that makes sense. Okay. Yeah, that makes sense. Frog legs. I like lobster and crawdad and stuff like that, or crab. I think I've had frog legs. I like things that you dip in butter and salt and stuff. But yeah, Archduke Franz Ferdinand. He would have hunting parties. He would have herds of wild animals like antelope and stuff stampeded past him, and he'd shoot them down with a Vickers machine gun. Whole herds of hundreds and hundreds of animals. And sometimes they'd feast on them, sometimes they'd leave them to rot. But he literally made a sport of killing. Archduke Franz Ferdinand is credited with killing at least 350,000 things himself as sport. All right, Palmetto. Yeah, I really probably should be doing stuff before too long, but I'm having a good time here, so we'll see. Thanks for dropping in. You have a good day. So I guess they probably don't eat crawdads and stuff like that, do they? Would they eat like a lobster? Because it's technically in like an ocean, and I guess they probably don't interact with the ocean, so it doesn't matter. Yeah, no, they technically everything does occasionally crawl on the ground, but okay, yeah, so it's sort of a cleanliness kind of thing. Makes sense. Oh, I'm sure. Yeah, I imagine that they have stories about the ocean, but my understanding is they're not, an oceanfront culture. So they wouldn't necessarily have like as much tradition surrounding animals of the ocean or reasons to dislike them, or they might see a lobster as a fish rather than something that crawls on the ground, is mostly what I was coming at. Whereas a shoreline culture might have that kind of differentiation because it's part of their life. I don't know. Just making it up off the top of my head. I'm an uncultured redneck. So what are you guys going to be up to today when we wrap this up? Got plans? Got something to work on? Like I mentioned, I'll be working on car stuff, working on some stuff around the house, and eventually heading into work and just helping my dad where he needs it. Positive for strep. That's going around here too. Dang, dude, that sucks, D-Mac. I'm sorry. Hello, Seether. How are you doing? Yeah, I got to go to Home Depot. Yeah, there's some stuff that I'd like to get from Home Depot and work on, but I'm so busy that I don't think that's going to happen today. Take care of the cars, take care of some stuff around the house. Planning on a fire. Nice. That sounds fun. Yeah, D-Mac, I'm sorry about that. You're going to have to quarantine a little bit, but it's for the best, you know. Just sucks that you caught that. Antibiotics are no fun. Strep is no fun. Super lame. Well, hopefully the man cave is well stocked. Yeah, definitely. At least you know what it is, and it's something that can be knocked down, you know. There's some strep going around here. In fact, my sisters are nannies, and one of the children has strep. And so both of my sisters have had to go on to antibiotics to make sure that they don't carry it now that my dad's come home. So definitely dealing with all that. Yeah, you know, if you've got things that you want to do and it's just a good opportunity to hang out in the man cave and putter around for a weekend, then, you know, take it easy and heal up. Do your thing. Yeah, Wayne, some men don't aren't crippled by illness. Although, I mean, until that fever breaks down, I think that he definitely needs to take it easy and keep the ice pack on. But yeah, I mean, if you're still running over 100, yeah, exactly what Wayne said. I was being cavalier. I forgot that you're running so hot. Definitely sit back and watch the latest Avengers movie with an ice pack on your head. Nice. Yeah. Good. Go back and watch some stuff. Catch up. Take it easy. Oh, nice. See there. Right on. Getting anything good out of the scrap piles at work? I have so many comments to go back and catch up on. It's crazy. It's going to take me 2 or 3 hours. A Berkey just really, that's crazy. I mean, filters are expensive, but the body is a huge chunk of that. DMAC, nice. That's a nice salvage right there to see there. Yeah, they are, but at least with the stainless steel, you can be confident you can clean that down real well. I'm not sure I would want to salvage somebody else's plastic water thing. Some people put pee through those. Yeah, I really want one too, Westland. They are expensive though. So yeah, $200 to $300. Yeah, DMAC. I would like to set up. I mean, I want a Berkey, but Berkey doesn't do everything that you need to do, and distilling doesn't do everything that you might need to do in a true SHTF. That's cool, Caesar. I'd really like to get some good salvage like that. Still is nice to have, but there's like a bunch of petrochemicals that would still go through it. I think some pharmaceuticals would. There's just a few things that I would still worry about. So what I plan on doing is, when I finally get some time to really work on this kind of stuff, is doing an actual, the full Monty water filter system. And it's pretty much going to need to incorporate everything that we talk about. And one of the main parts is going to be a very, very, very thorough charcoal drip system. But yeah, charcoal, very, very thorough charcoal is one of the only ways to truly be safe when you're talking about chemical, brake fluid, or gasoline, brake fluid, things like that. Yeah, see, the still for alcohol is really good. Distilling water is really good, but there's just so many things that will steam through with the water that I would just worry about it. You never know what's getting in there. Most places have chemical or like pharmaceutical production facilities near them. And if somebody just dumps a 55-gallon drum of some hormone substitute onto the ground, that will quickly leach through the groundwater throughout your whole area. And the only way to get that kind of thing out would be charcoal. Which, that's a remote likelihood, but I just don't trust a lot of things. I mean, even in the woods out here, there's mines, and there's natural deposits of stuff. Even before the mines, there was poison in the water because it naturally occurs near certain metal deposits. So, Goes through a Sawyer squeeze, then an activated carbon. Nice. Filter out diatomaceous earth and active carbon. Yeah. I would just, when I talk about it, and I might be going too over the top here, but I've seen some pretty disappointing expectations of what will work when it comes to diatomaceous earth and activated charcoal. A lot of filters that say they have activated charcoal, they have activated charcoal in them, but they don't rate them the way for everything. If you were to actually look at it, it would not be rated for petrochemicals and for hormones and these other things. So charcoal is capable of that stuff, but the way that it's usually applied, it's not doing it. I've seen prepper videos where they pour charcoal, just bulk charcoal, into a coffee filter, and they pour water through that, and they consider that to be pure charcoal filtered water, and it's just not. Calcium hypochlorite is chlorine powder, basically, and it will purify it. It will sterilize water, but it does not purify water. And it won't remove petrochemicals. It won't remove hormones. So it will make it it will usually make it biologically safe, and it will also do things to contaminants. But the only thing that a normal person can do to truly purify water, to actually make it so that there's nothing but water in the water, is to run it through charcoal, through a lot of charcoal, because all charcoal does is has so much surface area that it grabs everything besides the water, including the water, but you're running so much water through it that the water is forced through. But the only way to truly be sure that it's having enough time and contact with enough clean charcoal that it's doing its job to be truly safe with it is to have it running through a thin line, like air hose or fish, the line that you would put into a fish tank, or just food grade 1/4 inch or smaller hose, probably 1/4 inch would be fine, of crushed charcoal, almost just powderized charcoal. And I'd probably be running it through 10 feet of coiled hose at least before I truly felt comfortable with how filtered it was. Okay, so he knows what he's talking about. I would trust that kind of thing. I wasn't trying to cast, aspersions on whether or not your dad knew what he was talking about. Hey, Will, how you doing? Just in time prepping. Thanks for dropping in. Doing good. Just having a coffee chat. We're pretty far into it, so we might not be here for too long, but we're having a good chat. Right now, we're talking about some of the harsh realities of water filtration. A lot of you guys have probably been following Hooples and Uncle Al sharing Selko's book about dark realities of SHTF from the Yugoslavian civil wars and stuff, and drinking out of puddles and things like that. And they've been making a point that you're going to end up drinking from sources that are probably contaminated with cars that have crashed into them, things like that. So, right on, DMAC. That's cool. Those are the kinds of people that are good to know. That's awesome that you have that. There's one of the schools, universities around here, also has a wastewater treatment facility and learning place there, I think. So I'm pretty sure that if I tried hard, I'm actually going to be going to school there soon to, go back to school a little bit, get some classes. And I think that I may eventually try to see if I can get water tested, short of just going to a lab and paying for full labs or something like that. It'd be very interesting to get a sample and contaminate it, and then do a somewhat scientific test of a couple different filter systems and get them analyzed for contamination. Yeah, Rick, and that's the thing. I'm gonna activated carbon needs to be one of the largest preps that people have. Period, hands down. I mean, I don't see a way to get around it. I don't have enough. I haven't focused on it yet. I've talked to Ryan over at Prescott Caliber Club because he's trying to stock a Prepper Outfitter online store, and I told him bulk activated charcoal. We're talking. We need like 10-pound bags of charcoal, Mylar sealed. So yes, well, I know how Berkey works, and you can just buy the filters, and you can take a 55-gallon drum and drill holes in the bottom of it, and put 10 or 20 Berkey filters in the bottom, and then stack 3 drums high, and have amazing gravity pressure, and just have water pouring out the bottom of that. You could stack, 300 gallons of water with 20 Berkey filters on the. I mean, you could have one Berkey filter and it would just be gushing out of there, but you can set up all kinds of homemade water systems. And whenever I actually do mine, it's going to be 2 or 3 5-gallon buckets fused together, pushing gravity water through a couple different filters, like a pure water filter, including a stack of sand on top of that, and then down through 10 or 15 feet of activated charcoal. But those things are going to need to be changed almost constantly. So, I mean, and that's why I haven't done this water video yet, because honestly, for true SHTF water filtering, none of it's enough. None of it is enough unless DMAC. See, I envy your dad. This is honestly, it's one of the hidden downfalls of prepping. We talk about it. A lot of the channels, you guys that I respect, talk about the importance of water and water filtration, but we don't approach it. Like Evil Rick said, carbon, it captures all of that stuff. So you have germs, you have all of the contaminants just sitting there in your filter. And this is true no matter what filter you're talking about. Now, ceramic filters are nice because you can literally scrape the outer layer off and lose that stuff. But you still have to be very careful because you might just cross-contaminate to the inside of the filter if you're not extremely careful. So, I mean, you don't have to send me DMAC. It might be cheaper just for me to get a hold of it myself, but I do appreciate that, and we could talk about it. But I just think that preppers need to appreciate that, and I think that we need to find a common source for activated charcoal, and we also need to talk about being able to make it. It's not that hard. You collect up a bunch of wood, you pile it up, you throw mud over it so you have a little mud mount, and you bake that until you have charcoal. It's pretty simple, but some of these guys who are spending hundreds of dollars on preps regularly should be buying Mylar pouches of large amounts of activated charcoal. Like Evil Rick said, you're going to need to either be going through it or able to lay it out in the sun to sun dry and sun sterilize, and doing things like filter, just a lot of stuff. You're going to have to physically remove a lot of the contaminant. If you're using sand and rock filters, you're going to need to be able to replace those and find ways to get the contaminant out, but save your sand. So it's a whole process. So yeah, it's just a big thing to tackle. And if you are reusing stuff, you are risking recontamination if you don't do it right, because we are talking about more than just germs that you can boil or kill in the sun. Petrochemicals don't just disappear from stuff. So we might be talking about the need to have enough activated charcoal that you can discard it or reburn it. That would be another option, is to actually bake it. So you'll need an off the grid kiln, an actual clay or ceramic oven where you can fire that stuff to where it's baking off everything in it. Yeah, Wayne, it boggles my mind, the lack of water preps, even for some of the people that I respect quite a bit. They do rely on gathering the water, and I'm going to do a water gathering challenge, and it's not going to be fun. And I'm going to get good at riding my bike before I extend this challenge. So anybody who wants to be on the up for a water gathering challenge here in the not immediate future, start considering what you're going to need to do if you want to be a part of this, because I will eventually, for a few days at least, live only off of water that I've harvested from a natural source nearby. No, I've got sources around here that I am confident with, and I'm going to do it right. I mean, I probably will set up because I mean, we're talking enough water. I'm not going to be doing this with a hand pump system, I'm going to go collect it raw, bring it back raw, and climb up a little step ladder and be pouring 5-10 gallons at a time into my home filter system, and producing enough. What I would like to do is be producing enough for my family, for all 5 of us, for a day, for 2 or 3 days. Not necessarily making them use it, not necessarily even maybe making myself use it, because I have a busy life and I'm not necessarily going to also rig up a shower for gravity water and stuff like that. But I might make it part of my routine to do the gathering, to do the filtering, and to add that into my daily process, just to demonstrate that, yeah, I have the ability, I have the means to gather water. That is, yes, a step up from having nothing. But yeah, bleach, I don't like the bleach too much. Purify will. You need to be, and this is something that really bugs me. Yeah, well, okay. So the one thing that bugs me with the bleach and stuff like that is people throw it out there. And nothing against you, Will, but I very rarely see this. I'm pretty sure that I haven't properly harped on this. You need to off-gas that bleach, the chlorine. And it's as simple as dumping it back and forth between buckets 20 or 30 times. But churning the water bonds the chlorine off with oxygen and evaporates it. Okay, the portable August Pure. Interesting. Agua Pure. Okay, potable agua. Are those the tablets? Because I have these little tablets or powder pack. I think they're little powder pouches that I think are the potable agua pure. Yeah. Yeah, cryptosporidium. And you pour them in there, and it actually claims that it will coagulate particulate matter and actually clear water out by sedimenting it down to the bottom. And then you just don't drink the bottom little bit. It's in my go bag out in my car, so I don't really feel like going and digging it out right now. It's not right here in the rest of my stuff. But yeah, bleach and iodine won't kill cryptosporidium. Only the finest of filters, we're talking like 0.002 microns, will catch the cysts, the cryptosporidiums, the I forget what they're called, but they're harmful proteins. Turns salt into treatment. Okay, I have heard of that. Yes, it electrolyzes, it UVs the salt into something like bleach, into it. Yeah, a treatment. Yeah, like an ion treatment. I have seen those, and I would like to look into that, because it's like a mug type thing that you put the water in, and it's got a charger or whatever, and it. UV is pretty decent. UV is capable of breaking down some things besides just killing germs and stuff. But to be honest, if I'm in a grid down situation, especially if I'm living in the city and I'm trying to get water from like a channel, a concrete channel that goes through the middle of a city or something like that, it's not UV. Oh, okay. Then it's something besides what I've heard about. I'll look it up. Let me get my notebook. But yeah, if I'm in a truly SHTF situation where the water is probably contaminated with feces, decaying bodies, petrochemicals, drugs that have just been thrown into the water because they weren't going to get somebody high. I've got that water. I'm going to assume that it's got every imaginable thing in it, and I'm going to clean it in every way that I can think of. So first thing I'm going to do is maybe leave it in the sun, just raw, and let the sun do its thing first, so that all of those germs, before I even put them into the system, have hopefully been sterilized. Now, what I mean by that is the sun doesn't actually kill most things directly. It neuters them. It makes them so they can't split and reproduce and recolonize. So the sun is one of your best friends, UV, or if you have a UV system, the high output lithium batteries. Yeah, so there are, I'll check it out, Wayne. Let me note your water video. UV is good because, like, leaving things out in the sun, it breaks down smells. The particles that make smell, it tends to deprotein things. Tends to break down, cause chemical reactions to degrade to their lowest point. It causes things to unbond, and it sterilizes most germs and microbes. Yeah, springs and aquifers are good. They can still be contaminated by a lot of petrochemicals or hormones, which leach extremely easily through underground systems. So you'd still want the ability to test for stuff. And yeah, UV is how most municipal sources treat their water. It's low energy. You just have a big pool and you blast it with light. It's a surefire and good way to at least start your treatment. Because, like I said, one of my biggest concerns with filtration systems is they're a home to germs. The whole point of them is to catch germs. And so everything that you do with it after that is what determines whether or not you're just going to contaminate yourself with those germs. There's not really a point in having a water filter if you drink all that filtered water and then you go to clean it and you do that right there, like I just did while talking about it. You're sitting there scrubbing it, and then you just go like that, and you just wiped every single germ that you ever filtered out of your water right onto your face. Or you don't do that, but you finish, you put it all back together, and you just touch the inside of the filter a little bit. And then you don't use it for a day, and they colonize the whole inside of the filter. So you really want to be careful with that kind of stuff. And that is why I think travel water filter systems, you do want the ones that have a clear bag. So one of the best things to do is to scoop your water, sun sterilize it, then filter, so that you have less of a chance of introducing bacteria that can reproduce into your filter. Filter the water, clean the filter as often as possible, sun sterilize the filter. And this is after having already run it through sand, rocks, whatever have you, a shirt. And then after that, for me, you might do a sun distillation where you're using 2 glass bottles to distill the water across. If you have an actual still, this is where I would do that, where you're steaming it through a coil or whatever. Then I would run it through the Berkey. Then I would run it through 10, 15 feet of 1/4-inch line full of powderized charcoal with a coffee filter on the end of it. Yeah, solar still, wood fire still, whatever you have. I'm talking about 5 people's worth of water. I'd like to have 10, 20, 30 gallons worth of clean water a day for my family on the low end. So I'm looking at a high efficiency wood still eventually, something with, made out of stainless steel radiators or something like that, where you're steaming as much water as possible or something, with just a wood fire coming up through it, or wood gasification. I'm going to get into welding when I go to school, and wood gasification is one of the main reasons that I want to get into welding. Because I believe that it's the way of the future for preppers. and I'm going to credit Hooples with that for introducing me to the idea of it. I don't know how commonly understood that is, but wood gasification is a way to turn wood into a flammable gas source. Not as good as propane and some other things, but is remarkable what you can do with it. So it's something, especially in my area, I'm going to be able to set up a wood gasification system and be able to use that to fire a still or something. Yes, DMAC, you absolutely do need to do that. Yeah, I've tried to think of a few different things. You would want to have a few different ways. It would need to be tall and gravity fed, but you would also need a way to get the water up in there for people. Well, people are just going to need to be able to carry buckets of water to the top of a tall gravity fed system. Yeah, Wayne, I've heard that wood gas has been used pretty successfully in the past. It just is not, the technology is there for cars specifically now. But I mean, if you really knew what you were doing, you could set up a lot of pretty interesting things off of wood gas. You could heat your house, you could light your house, you could power quite a bit if you really knew what you were doing with wood gasification. But even just the ability to run, even if you just had one central wood gasification system, you could do a home, steam water system to heat your house, to produce energy, like kinetic energy, stuff like that, just by firing a boiler off of your wood gasification. You could have a heated driveway and grid down. Yeah, actual steam systems where you're powering engines and stuff off of steam. I wouldn't want to mess with it. I think you've mentioned that before, DMAG. I think you've told me that you have methanol, which is like ridiculously energy dense. Yeah, you did mention that. That's crazy, dude. It's like jet fuel. Yeah, well, that's another thing that I plan to share is you can get car alternators, quite a few, I think, for the torque that you can produce with the proper gearing on a bicycle. You could run a few alternators. And, in a light grid down situation, that's something you could set up a parlor where people can come and ride a bicycle to charge things up. Yeah, see, I've done stuff like that. I've carried a 5-gallon bucket up a straight ladder, carried it up stairs. I've carried it up a step ladder. There are a few things you can do. I mean, even just a very simple winch system or pulley system. You could have a basic pump. If you look at foreign aid projects that they have for helping with irrigation, there are some very efficient foot pump systems where you basically have handlebars and you step on, there's footsteps that you step on and they're pumping the water. And there's a surprising amount of flow through with these foot powered water pumps. But yeah, I like wood gasification because it's very renewable and it produces a flame not quite as powerful as propane or anything like that, but you can do comparable things with it. And it's something that can be grasped by a pretty simple person once you have the system and you know what you're doing. You're dropping wood into it and getting something better than just an open wood flame. I'll be right back. Just chat among yourself. All right, I'm back. Stop partying. Yeah. Okay. I would like steam, not pressure steam. But I could see using steam, a low pressure steam system for a few different things. But yeah. See, what I would envision is heating a house with steam, because that would just be pipes. You wouldn't need high pressure. You could have release valves throughout the system, set as low as you would like. But if you have a cheap and if you have just more than enough wood, which if you're a good prepper in my area, for instance, I would eventually like to have a wood barn with at least 10 cords of wood in it, at least, ideally 20 cords of wood. And with 20 cords of wood, depending on how large your group is and what your output is, for 1 year, that is more than enough to be doing whatever the heck you want with wood heat. My dream house has a basement with a central wood heat system, and it's sending, and it would be sending steam out through a pipe into the, under the driveway, out throughout the house, so that you've got a melting driveway, you've got heated floors. I'd have a steam room. I've already tried to build a steam room off the grid that would have been heated using a wood stove. So I do like the idea of having pipe work running throughout your house with steam to just have really cheap heat running off of essentially free wood heat. But I would not necessarily myself like the idea of trying to run steam at the pressure that you would need to run implements. I'd rather have, I'd go biodiesel if I really wanted to run cars or a chainsaw and stuff like that. I'm not sure if you can have a biodiesel chainsaw. That would be awesome. But I'd be closer to setting up the ability to produce biodiesel off of just crops that I've grown, just grow foliage, ferment, or make it into diesel. The thermal heating setup. No, I haven't. I should check it out. And I definitely would if I really got around to having the money and ability to build my own place like that. I'd check out some of the different systems that people use. But I think that you could, if you just had a central furnace that was heating your water system. Oh yeah, well, it would be part of an underground system. You'd have a tunnel. You'd go down into the downstairs into the underground space, and off the side of it, towards probably the front of the house, would be the furnace room, and it would have a lodge-sized furnace. Like a very large, a furnace large enough for a few men to stand inside of, with a lot of radiator system inside of it with the water flowing through. And it would just be heating the house. You'd be capturing all that heat. but it would also just be steaming up water in a low pressure system to go and circulate back through, and then cold water coming back, and just have a constant loop going. But it'd be a oh, okay, yeah, using thermal uh, convection system, just a natural convection air system. And yeah, if you do that kind of stuff, for instance, I wouldn't have a problem with living partially underground if you like a buried house, Um, if you do that right, like a hobbit home, and just have, live, like excavate a hill or just build a home that can be buried with little windows poking out for people who want daylight rooms. I would be fine with living underground if I get to go out every day and do my stuff, I don't see the problem with, when you're in a house, you're in a house. If you're in there for a long period of time, you do want windows and stuff, but oh, they do it around here, Will. I've always worked in restaurants, in most places, like burger places where I work. You just, I mean, it's good sense, because you either have to pay to have your grease taken to go and do it somewhere, or else somebody comes and pays you just a little bit to be able to take it away and turn it into biodiesel, or they just come and take it and they don't pay you. But yeah, a lot of places that I've worked that had a whole bunch of grease, it was being taken by a biodiesel place and not them taking it to a dump or something like that. Nice, D-Mac. Yeah, Westwind. I've always wanted to do underground homes, and there's a couple in the area from just hippies and people who want to try doing that kind of stuff. I have always been fascinated. I would just build an underground facility. I wouldn't even be too worried about it, being house-like. Still building, yeah. See, I would be just fine with burying a cinder block house. Just lay in your gravel. You'd have like a small house on top, like a trailer home or something like that, just to have something. But yeah, cinder block tunnels, rooms. I would like to line the entire interior with stainless steel sheet. That way cleaning is just a hose and a pressure washer. One in Priest Lake by the grocery store. I'll check it out. I'm going to be in Priest Lake before too long. So there's one up in Boundary County. There's a few. Lots of people just have a little piece, but there's a couple that I'm thinking about that are literally built into a hill. Priest Lake by the grocery store. But yeah, we'll see. What I would really like is to have an extensive underground cinder block and stainless steel house, and then you could just line it with plaster or wallpaper or whatever you wanted. Mexicans are good at tunnels. Yeah, they're pretty good at that. I'd like probably something a little nicer than what most of the cartel tunnels look like. But no, see, so one way that I would like to have a house would be bare land, dig about 20, 30 feet down, and have a couple levels of underground house that are well set up, build them with ICF, insulated concrete forms, so that you've got insulated concrete house, pour your layers of gravel and everything, your water protection layers on the outside of it, rebury it all, and then build a stainless steel garage over the whole thing, a shop, and attach a small house to that. So it looks like you've just got a sort of house with stainless steel shop attached to it, but that's actually just what's on top. I was thinking about El Chapo. El Chapo had some crazy stuff built. I'm sure we all have some pretty wild ideas about what we'd like to do if we had the money to build our ultimate prepper house. Yeah, when I win the lottery or become YouTube rich, my outside long game with this is become rich and build the ultimate prepper estate for all you guys to come join me on. So there's that if you ever want to join me on Patreon. Right on, D-Mac. Jeez, Westwind. Yeah, I believe that. I think I heard that before. He had like a very, very little teeny crotch rocket thing. Maybe that's someone else. I don't know. Well, I probably should be wrapping this up here soon. I do need to go do the car stuff and give myself enough time to get it done before I go to work. That's cool about the survival whistle. It's always fun to get gifts in the mail. Thanks, Will. Appreciate that. Thanks, DMAC. 14 millimeter socket. I'll remember that. It's always fun doing car work. Dog whistles. What will a dog whistle do for fighting as a prepper? Hello, Mr. D, by the way. How are you doing? Oh, right on, Evil Rick. Oh, you have fun sharpening those knives. Thanks, D-Mac and Wayne. Appreciate you guys for being here for the stream. I'm curious about the dog whistles still. I actually don't. I'll sharpen my knife right now. There, I sharpened my knife. Actually, my woods knife is like duller than a hatchet right now. That's how I keep it. Well, yeah, Cedar, but let's be honest. Oh, yeah, Wayne, that's tough. Good you're working out, though. Oh, okay, for fighting communications. I thought you had some tactic for using the whistle to fight with. Oh, Wayne, yeah. Flat Road Alliance, huh? Well, let me know if you get that spaceship. I might. Oh, Flat Earth Alliance. Yeah. Well, don't you know there is no space to go to? We're all stuck here on this sheet of paper. Yeah, Wayne. I've done stuff like that before. Just not eating for most of the day, basically, and then power loading. But lately, I tend to graze. Yeah, Mr. D, that's a good idea. I like that. All right, guys. Well, thanks for dropping in and chatting. I think I'm going to get going, have a quick snack, and get to working, get some stuff done. But I really appreciate you all dropping in today and chatting for a couple hours. Some good chat here, some interesting chat here. Thanks, Mr. D, for that suggestion here at the end. I really like the idea of having your own people paying attention to the sound of the dog whistle, knowing what to look for. And I think, yeah, some other people wouldn't necessarily notice what was going on using it. Right on. All right. Catch you later, DMAC. Thanks for dropping in. Feel better and take it easy. Pay attention to that fever, man. Don't need you frying any brain cells. Lord knows we all just have precious few of those, right? Anyways, take care of yourself. Thanks, Will, for dropping in. Thanks, DMAC, Evil Rick, Mr. D, Wayne, Seether. Anybody else? I'm not sure. Maybe everybody left. But I appreciate you all being here. Everybody be well, stay safe out there, and have a good day.